All right, well, we're on holding by Pirke Avos, ethics for our fathers. Again, one holding by Pirke Avos, ethics for our fathers, as it is known. We are in the second chapter. We are in Mishna 15, and it's going to be part 13. All right, again, so it's chapter ethics for our fathers, Pirke Avos, chapter 2, Mishna 15. Mishna 15, part 13. Right. So the Mishnah, we've been talking about anger. All right, that's what we were talking about the last number of weeks. The Mishnah says they each said three things. First part of the Mishnah says, and then Rebbe Eliezer, let your fellow's honor be as dear to you as your own, and that we spoke about quite a bit. And we're on this part of the Mishnah where it says, do not anger easily. So we mentioned last week, mentioned the week before, the Mishnah here does not say don't get angry. It doesn't say over here never get angry, right? We mentioned before. What it says is do not get angry easily, right? We spoke about that. More last week, a few weeks ago, right? So even a person is in a situation that can make them angry, right? They got to control anger, right? Anger is something everybody needs to control. Some have, get angry easily. Some people don't, whatever it is. But here the Mishnah says, right, do not anger easily. So we started last week, we didn't get very far. But don't be like the fool who was anger lingering in his bosom. Why? They're consumed by it and they cannot control it, right? So again, I'm not a psychologist. I didn't play one necessarily on TV either, right? But at the end of the day, person has to understand that any psychologist will tell you that if you let anger control you, you let someone get in your head for no reason, it will control you, right? Anger can control. Now, a person will say, but look what this person did. Look what this person said. Look at all the terrible things, right? Isn't it true? Let's say it's true. Okay, and so what? So where's the person's emunah? Where's their proper faith and belief in God? And say, hey, I'm being used. This guy is like a stick. It's like a dog hitting the stick. Right? Get hit by the stick. Who's the dog go after? The stick. You don't go after the person wielding the stick, right? Wielding the power. I'm not anti-dog activist over here saying we should beat dogs, right? But at the end of the day, we also get whacked around. We also have all kinds of trials, tribulations. People do things that we don't like. We didn't sign up for, let's say better, right? Person caused you damage. You're going to say, why? Right? You're going to yell at the person. Okay. They may have to pay. They may have to pay damage. Okay. But at the end of the day, God's hitting you in the pocket, right? You got to remember that God doesn't want to hit you, he doesn't want to hit you in the body straight away. God will make something happen around you. God will do something where what's going to happen, he wants us to think. There's an earthquake, there's a tsunami, something happens. So it's for us to wake up, right? The wake up call. Tremendous wake up call. Okay, very good. So did I get the message? Maybe I didn't get the message. Maybe it didn't have a profound or any effect on the person. Okay, so let's say like this. So if that doesn't wake up a person, what can God do? God can hit you in the pocket. He can make you lose money. Right? Washer machine goes, problem with your car, anything. Right? That should wake up a person. And if that doesn't wake you up to repent, because no one wants to lose money, so what will God do? Hit you in the body. It'll make you not feel well. You'll be sick. You can't function properly, whatever it is. That's the last resort. Why does God do that first? We mentioned this many times. Why does God not hit you in the body first? He wants to give you a chance. He's giving you a golden opportunity to repent. Oh, you didn't get the first message? Okay, God says, okay, I got time. He says, I got time over here. So God gives you another opportunity. What does he do? Hit you in the pocket. That should wake you up. So God says, okay, I'll hit you in the pocket. Let's see if that wakes them up. Let's see if they change the way they pray. Let's see if they change the way they act. So God's got a certain level of patience. Very good. And then he's going to say, God's patience runs out, so hit you in the body. Does God want to punish you? No. Inherently, though, if I don't do what he says, and I go against what he says, what's going to happen? I'm in trouble. Essentially, I'm in trouble. So he says over here, so what's the whole point? Don't let it linger in your bosom. Don't keep it in your head. Why let someone else in your head? Even if they did something wrong. True. Very, very true. Like my Rebbe says, if you live in the past, you have no future. You cannot linger on that. You can, anyone who's a coach, let's say, a life coach, what do they try and help you do? Again, this is not psychology, but what do they try and help you do? They try and help you get from A to B and from B to C. Now, sometimes getting from A to B, a person's got hang-ups. They don't want to do it. Take somebody, get these business coaches, right? So you take somebody that, they have a product. Let's say they want to sell. They got a great product, but they don't want to have to sell it. They don't want to speak to people. They have all the qualities in the world, right? To help somebody with X, whatever it is, right? But they claustrophobic on the phone. Or, they just want to show the information. Let someone sign up. Very good, right? Closing the deal for some people, let's say, is very hard, even if it's a good product. Not so easy. Yeah. So what could a business coach do? So a business coach, can help them get over this phobia, right? Try and get over this idea that, I don't have anything to say. What if they ask me this? Or what if they ask me that? In different things, you have to have confidence. You have to have confidence in the product you have. Usually people will say, won't it sell itself? So let me tell you a story, right? Most people who don't know, well, they probably know, but let's say they don't know, I'll tell you, I happen to work with converts, right? People want to convert to Judaism, or Jews that don't know very much, about Judaism, or non-Jews want to be Noahites, right? Who don't want to convert, right? So I got a program, I got all kinds of classes, different things, but what's the major factor? What is the major, this is what I've seen over the years, and it makes sense. What's the major factor someone is going to say, why should I listen to you? Right? Right? Why should I listen to you? So what's the answer? Because they've been lied to by the church. Church has lied to them for years, many, many years. Church has all these men, different things, told them this, told them that, told them the other thing. So at the end of the day, they finally come to the realization Torah is true. Whether they convert or not doesn't matter, right? Even if they stay into Noahide, they can still eat shrimp, right? Doesn't really matter. But what's the point? Point is they've been lied to, right? I know somebody's father said, what do you think? I've been in the church 50 years. They've been lying to me? Yes. That's exactly what they've been doing. And now people can hear classes I give or whatever it is. They can do their own research. They can do their own research about me, but what's the single biggest product? This is not a product, you say, oh, he's going to sell this product. Again, it's not about, I've gotten this a lot. You're proselytizing the non-Jews. You're trying to convince non-Jews to convert. That's about the last thing. Most people come to me already either interested in conversion or can't convert or don't want to convert, right? I can care less. They convert, they don't convert, this, that, okay, right? But at the end of the day, what's the problem? So it's not proselytization. I'm telling them what I do. I'm telling about what I can offer. Okay. Right? That's not proselytization. Someone says, I don't want to convert. Oh, fine. My job's not to convince them, but that's not the point. That is not the point here. What's the point? The point is, what's the single biggest issue here? And the single biggest issue is a trust issue. Why should I listen to you? Are you going to take me through all the steps? Are you going to bring me to the rabbinical court? Are you going to do this? You're going to do that. You're going to do the other thing. Okay. Right? There's a lot involved here. This is not a one-shop thing. Okay, he's got a product, sell it. Doesn't work like that. I wish it did. There are a lot of steps in between, right? I'm not just putting a plug for my classes there, but the point is there's a trust issue, a major trust issue, which makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. If the church has been lying to me, who are you? Why should I listen to the rabbis? Good. A lot of people ask the question, legitimate question. Torah says you got to listen to the rabbis to go on in every generation. Those are the rabbis, right? Deuteronomy chapter 17, right? You got to listen to the rabbis. Very good. But I've seen so many people say, "Come on, I just want to listen to the Torah. I'm only going to listen to God." Very good. And how far is that going to get you? Is listening to God going to explain to you, as it says in Leviticus chapter 23, is it going to explain to you what a sukkah is? Because the Torah said, I got to sit in the sukkah, I got to sit in this booth 7 days. Very good. Anyone tell me what a sukkah is? Someone tell me it's like a teepee. Yeah? It's like sitting in a tent. That's what they thought it was. You think it's a tent, someone thinks it's an igloo, someone thinks, I don't know. How do I know what it means? How do I know what it is? And then the Torah tells me, on sukkahs, I have to bring a lulav, doesn't tell me how big, doesn't tell me what makes it kosher, and I have to bring a nice smelling fruit. You're going to tell me it's a quince, someone tells me it's a pomegranate, someone tells me it's a pineapple. No one ever is going to think it's a citron, it's a lemon on steroids. No one's going to say that, but that's what it is. How do you know? So I had to bring all these things. I had to bring willows, myrtle leaves. The Torah says I had to bring a lulav. I had to bring my lemon on steroids. And I had to bring it in front of God. Okay, what does that mean? What does that mean to bring it in front of God? Good question. What does it mean? You're going to say, the rabbis, the rabbis made it up. You got any better interpretation? Right? This is an issue. It's an issue people have. I have to listen to the rabbis. Great. How are you going to understand what the Torah says? If the Torah begs for interpretation, 80% of the Torah or more doesn't make sense literally. I wouldn't know what to do. Yeah. So now let me get to my other point, which is, so someone's got something to sell. It's an easy sale. Relatively easy sale. Right? The company needs it, the person needs it, whatever, but they don't want to speak to people. They have this phobia. I don't know, it's not about rejection. They don't like speaking to people. In general. So it's hard for them. It's very hard for them. So what's the business coach going to do? They're going to psych them up, and a business coach is going to try and help them get from A to B. They're going to help them get from A to B. And getting from A to B, what's that going to mean? It's going to mean many more sales. It's going to mean a lot more money. But if you don't get from A to B, you're stuck. You make some money, maybe. But you got to learn how to close. There are people out there born closers. They have a product, they can sell it. They know how to get on the phone. They know what to say. They know what to do. Right? So you can have business coaches, other type of coaches, life coaches that can help you get from A to B. And that's pretty crucial. And from B to C, otherwise you're frozen. Otherwise you get stuck. So I would say you need something even more important than that. Right? What does everyone need? Spiritual life coach. That's what they need. Right? How to look at the world. How to see the world in the right way. So I can give you a cheat sheet. I can tell you want to see the world in the right way? Go out and buy the book Derech Hashem. Right? The Way of God by Moshe Chaim Luzzatto. A blessed memory. Hard book to go through, even in English or any other language. Right? Very philosophical. It's all about why did God create the world? What's the purpose of man? Reincarnation, right? What does the world look like before and after Adam ate from the tree of knowledge? Spiritual forces. Right? A basic classic work to know how the world works. To understand how we're supposed to function. how we're supposed to overcome our evil inclination, how to view suffering. Oh, that's very good. That's very apropos for today. Because we all go through suffering, right? Different levels. Whether it's livelihood, whether it's health, whether it's both, family, all kinds of things. Yeah, but now we see a totally different type of suffering. You see the Jewish people suffering tremendous. Here in Israel, outside of Israel. I mean, it's crazy. Crazy situation. How do we look at it from a Torah perspective? These are things people have to know. Because you can say, well, I think like this, I think like that. Well, you might be right, might not be. Right? But a person needs a spiritual compass. And a lot of times I always say in this process, you can't get through it yourself. These are things you need someone to take you through. Right? It has nothing to do with IQ. A person can have 120 IQ. It could be an absolute genius. So are they going to be able to navigate the process themselves? Are they going to be able to look in Torah and understand it themselves? Absolutely not. Right? Explain, I can pull out any verse. Not difficult verses. And say, okay, what does the Torah say? Right? I just gave an example. Sit in the sukkah for 7 days. Yeah? So exactly what does that mean? What are the definitions? Yeah, and what if it's too cold? What if it's 5 degrees Celsius or it's like 35 degrees Fahrenheit? I still have an obligation to sit in the sukkah? Do I have to eat in the sukkah? Do I have to sleep in the sukkah? I mean, a lot of questions. A lot of questions don't have answers. I mean, they won't have answers to someone who doesn't know. And how would they not know? Because they don't know our law. They don't know what's going on. So they need someone to explain it to them. You could go to Rabbi Dr. Google, get the information. Very good. You can certainly do that. Right? But you have to know how to navigate that information also. I told people, many, many times. People ask a question. I was like, what's the matter? Rabbi Dr. Google doesn't have an answer? And a lot of times they don't. Why? Because it's complex. Extremely complex. Yeah. So the point over here is, right, when you're looking at things in general, you have to have the right eyes to see. You have to have the right outlook to be able to understand. Right? You'll see, a person will say, well, look what's going on, current event. I don't want to really speak too much about it. I've spoken about it a lot over the last number of weeks. You look what's going on in the world, not just here in Israel. Anti-Semitism up 500%, probably more by now. You got Jews on college campuses scared out of their minds. Yeah. You got, tens of thousands of people marching saying death to the Jews. This is not 1939. Right? This is 2023. You think, oh, people got over that. No. Anti-Semitism's still there. Anti-Semitism's going to exist till the end of days. Till the Messiah comes. I had someone tell me if more people become Noahites, that'll solve the problem. No, it won't. Because even if you make more people Noahites, that's good. That'll help. But that is not going to end the problem. Anti-Semitism started with Esav hates Yaakov. And you can say, hey, Yaakov did this and Yaakov did that, and that brought about hatred in the world. Yeah, I'll tell you a story. There's a medrash. Actually, the Gemara says that God gave the Torah to Jewish people where? On Mount Sinai. One explanation is, what does the word Sinai mean? What's the root of the word? Samech Nun Yud or Samech Nun Aleph. What's that mean? It means to hate. So when God gave the Torah to Jewish people, all the nations hated the Jews. Jealousy. Because God gave us the Torah. What's the obvious question? What's the obvious problem saying that? Because the Gemara in Avodah Zarah 2b to 3a, anyone can go look it up, God went to all the nations. God goes to Esav, and he says, you want the Torah? And God says, Esav says, well, what's written in it? So God said, you're not allowed to kill. Not allowed to kill? But doesn't say in the Torah, I'm going to live by the sword. He said, no, I'm not interested. Goes to Yishmael. He asks Yishmael, you want the Torah? He says, what's written? It says, don't steal. It says, don't steal. It said in last week's parsha, my hand's in the hand of everyone. Everyone's hand is in me. I'm a born thief. That's my nature. That's the nature of an Arab. That's their nature. They steal. Now I'm not interested. It goes to all the other nations. All the other nations don't want the Torah. Come on, the Jewish people. God comes to Jewish people and he says, you want the Torah? They say, sure. You want to know where it's written in it? They say, Naaseh v'nishma. We will do, and then we will hear. Meaning we don't care what's written in it. You got a track record. Fine, we'll take it. Right? So now, come along the nations. Now the nations say, oh, the Jewish people? We hate the Jewish people. For all kinds of things. But what's the major thing we hate them for? Because they got the Torah. Brought out hatred to the world. Because the Torah says Jews are chosen. Non-Jews got a problem with that. We're not saying we're better. We chose God. God chose us. We have a lot more mitzvahs than non-Jews. Any non-Jew wants to join, you'll get all the mitzvahs also. Right? Very good. So where's the jealousy? Where's the hatred? Why so much animosity? They wanted the Torah. Right? If they wanted the Torah, they could take it. They could absolutely take it if they don't want the Torah. If they don't want the Torah, is it their choice? Oh, yeah, their choice. 100% their choice if they don't want it. Right? It's their choice. Now you're going to come back and say, oh, we want it. or even better, even if we don't want it, you think you're better than us. Again, anyone who wants to take on all my obligations, I got to pray 3 times a day, got to go to synagogue, 3 times a day, this, that. You want to take on all the obligations? Okay. You don't want to take on the obligations, want to stay a non-Jew as a no-Id, very good. That's also fine. Right? But at the same time, what would I say? What would I say? Okay. What would I say over here? I would say you're in trouble. I would say, we're not saying we're better just to say we're better, and there are Jews that think they're better than non-Jews based on pedigree, but they don't keep Torah mitzvahs. That's racist. That's 100% racist. And the Torah doesn't say we're better. It says we're chosen. What does that mean, we're chosen? Right? Chosen doesn't mean better. Chosen means we're more obligated than everyone else. You're going to say, but God says, we're his favorite nation, this and that. Okay. But he chose us and we chose him. Anyone wants to be part of it, they can be part of it. They can go through conversion. That's not a problem. That's totally not a problem if they want. If they don't want, it's also fine. Right? But at the end of the day, where's the claim? Why so much hatred? Because God gave the Torah. So, it's like saying, I have this secret thing that I'm saying that I won't give it to you. Right? I'll save it to you for when you're older. It's like, no, give me, I want it now. No, it's going to be too hard for you. You won't understand it. You're this. No, I want it now. And then you tell them what it is. I'm like, you were going to give me that? You're going to give me that? But then later they see someone else has the same thing. And they say, no, I want it now. What do you mean you want it now? Or you look at it in a totally different way. This is what it's like. God gave the Jewish people the Torah. You got to tell me nobody else wanted it, which is true. Nobody else wanted the Torah. Okay. So if nobody else wanted the Torah, where's the jealousy? Where's the hatred? Why should there be hatred? Doesn't make sense logically. But, you're going to say, but what would happen to Esav and Yaakov? Okay. That's going to be for all future generations. I'm talking about specifically when the Torah is given. Right? There's anti-Semitism in places there are no Jews. It's a mind-boggling thing. And anti-Semitism doesn't make sense either. Because the anti-Semites are going to say, even Jewish anti-Semites will say, we hate the Jews because they have so much money and so much power. Okay, so what do you do with Jews in a place that don't have money and power? That they're poor. Oh, they're sponging off the system, they're this and that. So that can't be the reason for anti-Semitism. Or if you tell me the opposite, you say, you go to a certain country, take a survey, say, yeah, we hate the Jews because they're so poor, and they're eating off, they're taking all this money from the government, not enough money for everybody else. Again, if you're making one claim, and it doesn't apply in another place, that claim is not valid. That claim is totally invalid. Yeah. So it's going to be there. Unfortunately, it's going to exist. And it's going to exist till the end of days. And essentially, it gets worse before it gets better. So, what we're seeing now, you say, well, it flares up, and it does. Sometimes it's better. Sometimes it's worse. During COVID, it was bad. It was definitely bad even up until COVID. People that look like Jews getting, beaten up in the streets, getting attacked, and then, during COVID, say, oh, we're spreading it. A bunch of vermin, we're spreading it, by leaps and bounds. Why did that happen? Forget about, all these other issues people are going to say about COVID and conspiracy theories and this and that. You have to understand, Jews live together. A lot of Jews together, right? A lot of buildings, areas, different things. Where do most people get COVID from in the Jewish community? It wasn't in synagogue. Because they went to synagogue. How many tens of thousands got it from there? No, that wasn't the majority where they got it from. Because they're going to say they should have closed it down. There shouldn't have been big gatherings. Okay, I get it. Right, but that's not where they got it from. Where did they get it from? Where the majority of Jews get it from? Their own household. That's where they got it from. You got 4, 5, 6 kids at home. One kid gets it. Everybody gets it. Right? You got a neighborhood. Some people are sick. It gets spread. We are cultural people. We're social people. So we're in synagogue a lot. We're in gatherings a lot. Weddings, bar mitzvahs, circumcisions, all kinds of things. So yeah, some people, are sick. A lot of people get sick from that. Yes. So someone will say, but they shouldn't be there if they're really sick. Okay, I'm not even going to go into that. I'm just saying it can spread very quick. They're going to say, oh, you're the one. Your community is causing it. So again, let's look at demographics. Let's look at where the Jews live. Let's look how close they live together and socially and this and that. And we have bigger families, true. We have bigger families than most, 100%. Right? So even if we're not getting it in the social area, where's it coming from? How is it spreading so quick? Because we have a lot of kids. And we're in close quarters. Because of that, what happens? One person gets it, it's highly contagious. Someone else is going to get it. Someone gets the flu. Someone gets sick. Yeah. Is it likely people in that family, in that household, is it likely they're going to catch it? Probably. Even if they're very careful, could they catch it? Yes. Would they be more susceptible to it? Yes. So you want to tell me, we're spreading because we're not careful? People are going to have been very careful. It doesn't matter, right? You got to look at demographics, but nobody cares about demographics. People just want to say, oh, you're doing this, you're bad, right? Nobody looks into anything. People just say things, etc. So I don't want to get off topic here, but there are a lot of things out there. Yeah, we bring upon ourselves. And there are things we don't bring upon ourselves, but guess what? When damage is done, damage is done. For Jews, it doesn't apply to non-Jews, there's collective punishment. That's something no one else wants to hear either. A Jew does something wrong in Brooklyn, we all feel the pain. We all feel the pain. Because there's a Talmudic dictum, it says, Kol Yisrael Ravim Zeh Lezeh. All Jews are intertwined. We are all intertwined. So therefore, if a Jew does something wrong, everyone gets blamed, even if he's a secular Jew. Imagine someone in Brooklyn, an Italian in Brooklyn does something wrong. What are you going to say? Burn down Italy? No more cannolis. Right? That's it. No more cannolis. Never happened. Never happened. Right? I mean, obviously that'd be racist. You're going to group a whole people together. Whether they're Asian, whether they're Black, Hispanic, Jew, whatever. That's being racist, right? That's being racist. Right? But we're the ones. We're the ones beyond the shadow of a doubt. If someone does something wrong, doesn't matter. Religious, not religious, everyone gets blamed. Everybody gets blamed. Everybody gets blamed. Yeah. Whether we should or not, yeah, we can have a discussion, but there's collective punishment. So we have to be so careful when we're outside, when we're anywhere. We don't want to give anybody ammunition, nobody, to say anything. We want people to say, wow, they're so nice, they're so considerate, they wait in line, they don't push. Thank God his parents taught him Torah. Thank God his Rebbe taught him Torah. That's what we want people to say. We want to make a sanctification, of God's name. We don't want people to say, oh, this person ripped me off. Oh, this person did that. Because when people make those claims, even if they're true, so they're going to say all Jews X, Y, Z. But it's not true. This person was a crook, let's say. This person was a crook. Yeah. And let's say 99% are not crooks. The one crook does the damage. Or in certain fields where Jews are known to be, to be X, Y, and Z. So you say, but in other things they're not, but you get a bad name, you get a bad name. The damage is already done. I've heard this many times. People say, wow, the Orthodox do this, and some do that. Now, you're talking to an Orthodox Jew. So you're lumping me, my family, and everybody else I know that don't do these things. If I would say that about secular Jews, you know what people would say? People would have my throat. Because how could you say that? These people are upstanding people, this, that. Why take out one crook from everybody else? Not everyone does that. Oh, very good. Very good. Don't paint the color black, right? Don't call the kettle black, whatever a statement is. Right? Don't throw, rocks on glass windows. Because you make a statement about somebody, you're including everybody else. But 99% are not doing that. Are there bad eggs? Yes. There are bad eggs in every society. But you're supposed to keep what the Torah says. True. So why don't they do it? I don't have to answer that. Right? I'm not going to answer why someone did this, someone did that. I have enough trouble answering myself. Someone once told the story a lot. Secular Jew said they saw an Orthodox Jew in a casino. They said, what are they doing in a casino? They're probably gambling. Having a good time. They went, no, but it's forbidden. Doesn't, according to your religion, isn't it forbidden? Yes. 100% forbidden. So why do they do it? As I told you, they're gambling. They're having a great time. No, but it's wrong. You're right. And why do people smoke? Why are they overweight? Why do they do other things? Right? Why do they do other things? That's a good question. I have to answer that. I don't have to answer that. I have to answer for myself. That'll be hard enough. Right? There are a lot of complaints about what people do. Okay. Right? So, can we make it much worse? Yes, we can. We're the ambassadors to the world, whether we like it or not. So we have to be exemplary. We do not want to give anybody one shred of evidence that we're not exemplary. Yeah, we got to be careful where we go, what we say, what we do. Right? We should be. Anybody should. You know what they call that? It's common courtesy. Someone's told me the kids are going to school, an Orthodox school, Orthodox day school. The person tells them going up to the door, someone went in, took their kid in and shut the door. So someone asked me, they're like, why did somebody do that? Why couldn't they hold the door open? I said maybe they're in a rush. Maybe no one ever taught them to be courteous. Maybe. I have a thing about hygiene. I'm not going to go into it. Why do people, hygiene's not a big thing by them? Why can they cough in your face and sneeze in your face and they don't care? They don't cover themselves up. I can't answer. It's either they were never taught it, possibly, or to them it's not important. Why is it not important? Why in the world is it not important? Want to see how people eat? They go to a kiddush? How some people eat? It's disgusting. I'm not even talking about how much food they take. I was at a kiddush or whatever a while ago, a month ago, more. And whatever, the cakes on the table and other things. So we're waiting for plates. Paper plates. People pass out paper plates. So all of a sudden, this big thing of kugel came out. Yerushalmi kugel, right? Anyone's ever seen Yerushalmi kugel? Yeah, it's kind of greasy. Whatever, right? So it's noodle kugel. We call it noodle kugel. Yeah. So I told them, and I said, guess what? I said, let's see what happens over there. No plates. Yeah. How long is it going to take for someone to put their hand in and take it? I didn't even look at my watch. 30 seconds, not even. Not even before a 4 came. Somebody just went, shh. I can't make that up. These people might sit and learn all day. They might have other great character traits. How can you take food from a plate with, it's greasy and this thing, just grab with your hands? You're that starving? You haven't eaten in like 5 days? You've been on like some ocean somewhere in the middle of, I don't know. Like, it's like you've never seen food before. You're not going to wait 2 minutes to get a fork. I mean, it's kind of gross if you think about it. I don't know where this person's hands have been. I don't want to know. Right? No pun intended. I don't want to know. Right? But how are you going to fight that? Well, you could call the person a grub. You could say something true. Yeah, but if it doesn't register, it makes, again, you see it from the outside. People say, okay, so yeah, there are people do that and people do other things that they shouldn't do. You're right. Don't mix up Jews and Judaism. Okay. Right? Understood. Is it disconcerting? Yes. Basic manners. If you're outside and non-Jew sees you do that, right? Or secular Jew sees you do that, again, they may do the same thing. They may do the exact same thing, maybe even worse. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We're held to a different standard. Right? And again, I'm not going to get into politics and what's going on now. Israel's held by a different standard. Human shields, we have to be so careful and this and that, and everyone can just murder everyone, and call it war, and it's not a problem. It's not a problem. Why are we held to a different standard? When America went into Iraq, how many kids and civilians were killed? Thousands. Did anybody even open their mouth? Nobody opened their mouth at all. Nobody. That's war. And these maggots are using hospitals and everything else. They're using people as human shields and using fuel from these places, right? So the military installations, why can't they just blow them up? They're trying to be careful, but you lose that war. You lose it every single time. Yeah. Everyone else can do it. You can't do it. It doesn't make sense logically. But the Jewish people defied logic for, throughout the millennium. That there's no question. We're held to a different standard. Whether you like it or you don't like it, doesn't matter. That's what it is. It's interesting, the UN itself, not a great institution by any stretch. Israel, at least 20 years ago or more, Israel was 1/1000th of the world's population, probably less. Now, but let's say 1/1000th of the world's population been condemned by the UN more than any country combined. More than any country combined. Let that sink in. You got Iran, you got Iraq, you got all these places, all these rogue places. And you have to single out the Jewish people for defending themselves? Right? Anti-Semitism alive and well, even before the war. Alive and well. But the point here is we're held to a different standard. I'm not saying it's right. We are held to a different standard. War is war. You can't, nothing to do. War is war. Innocent people, quote unquote, are going to get killed. Okay? But that happens everywhere. Yeah. But when we're out there and we look like Jews, we got to be careful. We 100% have to be careful. And we have to be careful for one very simple reason. Because we represent the Jewish people. That's what we do. That's what we do. So we don't want to give our enemies at all any ammunition, no pun intended, no ammunition whatsoever, say anything. Say anything negative against the Jewish people. Look how this person eats. Look how they push in line. Look how they drive. Look. Yeah, there are a lot of things. There are a lot of things we got to be exemplary of. It's mind-boggling. But we got to be careful. 100% we got to be careful. We don't want to give them a shred of evidence otherwise. We want them to say, thank God his Rebbe taught him to. Thank God his father taught him to. And even if they didn't, and a person converts, thank God he's a Jew. Look how he acts. Look how she acts. Look how exemplary. That's what we want. We don't want them saying diddly squat. We don't want them saying nothing. Nothing negative. And there are people, you got Jews out there saying, oh, we're going to be more careful, we're going to be there. They're just as insane as a non-Jewish anti-Semite. They're no better, right? No better at all. We have to be better. We have to be exemplary. We have to set the standard. And a lot of times we do. But when we don't, it's like, it's like the New York Times, only New York Times made a mistake, right? They had to pay someone for libel, against someone. So, that apology goes on page 247 in the back where you can't even read it without bifocals. So all the garbage that they say in the CNN, the BBC will put them all together. All these anti-Semites, put them all together. Even if they admit a mistake has been made, guess what? Nobody sees it, and the damage is already done. First impressions are everything. First impression. I mean, it's ironic, again, not to get to the war, but, it's very ironic when this hospital, quote unquote, got hit, and they were quoting the same source. Who was the source? Hamas. Quoting that source, 500 people killed, the hospital smashed. First of all, between 20 and 50 people killed, right? It hit the parking lot, and it was their own missile that backfired, which a lot of them do. How can you take a terrorist organization, not check out the facts? Everyone's a big fact checker. Everyone checks it. Oh, the facts are otherwise. Got to check the facts. Nobody checked the facts over here. Until finally the truth came out. Are you listening to rogue people giving you information? Oh, yeah, this is exactly what happened. They're the biggest liars in the world. And you're taking them at face value. This is the war you're fighting. This is exactly the war you're fighting. So, we got to be exemplary. We got to call them out. This, okay. But we have a lot to do here. We have a tremendous responsibility, no question. But, we want to be at the top. We don't want them saying anything except good things. And that's, you're going to say, but it might be fake. Totally might be fake. When I'm out there, so let it be fake. What do I care? What does anybody care? Let it be fake. Yeah, fake it the best way you can. Because you do that, they won't have anything to say. Even if you don't like it, and it doesn't matter. Right? Even if you fake it, you're going to say, but that's not really who I am. Well, you should be better. You should be a heck of a lot better, even if you're not. So what? So fake it and show that you are. Yeah, a lot of questions here. I do want to deal with. One is person has a problem with concentration, difficult to sit in one place long periods of time. Even as an adult, yeah, it can happen. It can happen. Not easy to sit in one place for a long time, yeah. Usually with a problem with children, how do you deal with it? I don't know. That's a good question. Some people, some people, let's say, have ADD or ADHD. They can't sit in one place for a long time. They have to get up, they have to move around. So you'd have to have someone, more of an expert, in that. And I would say, though, I don't think there's going to be an answer, but I would say that, if someone really enjoys something, yeah, they're really into Torah, but like, I don't know, their mind wanders, they need to get up a lot, walk around. If someone's like really into something, usually you're going to be riveted to the screen. You're not going to move. Why? Because you're so into it. It's make a big distinction here. Either, let's say, someone's into sports, they're watching a great sporting event, or they're watching a movie, or something like that. Unless you have to go to the bathroom, you're not stopping this thing. You're on the edge of your seat, right? It's getting to the best point. You're not going to get up and move right now. If a person is fidgety in general, they get up and walk around a lot anyway. Okay, so that's not going to help, right? That's not going to help, right? So I don't have a good answer in concentration. I would say, though, you can take it, for what it's worth, that if a person's really into what they're doing, they're not going to get distracted. You can tell, if a person's really tired, I'll give you this as an example. If a person's really tired, but they want to sit and listen to Torah, listening to Torah is hard on the head. It is very hard on your brain. Why? Because it's heavy. Torah is heavy in general. Right? It's not an easy thing to sit there and concentrate and, different ideas and picking on details. It's not easy. not easy to sit there for a long time and whatever. It's hard on the mind. And what does it do? The Gemara says, it makes you tired. So if you're already tired, but you're really into it, how do you stay awake? Right? It's a good question. Sometimes, you might have to put your head down for a few minutes, whatever. Right? The Rogachover, famous Rogachover, more than 200 years ago. Right? He would either keep his feet in cold water, or he had long hair, never really got a haircut. So he had his hair attached to a nail in the wall. So every time he dozed, he get chirped. So I'm not gonna tell people to do that, per se, but at the same time, if it's something we really love, could we get distracted? Yeah, because people ask the question, well, if you're in a synagogue, you're in a base medrash study hall, how could you get distracted? People around you learning Torah, right? You hear the words of Torah. So where's your mind? You're learning with somebody, and then, you get off tangent, right? You get off topic. You start talking about this, start talking about that, and now you're wasting time when you should have been learning. The evil inclination can come in, in the study hall, right? You go into a synagogue, instead of people learning, some people, let's say, are learning. Other people, let's say, are talking, which this is a horrific thing. Yeah, they can talk about sports, talk about politics. I was in a synagogue once on Shabbos, and someone tells me, okay, all right, this is a more modern synagogue, but I'll tell the story anyway. So they tell me, if you want to speak to the lawyers, they all sit over here. Sports fans, they sit over here. The accountants sit over here. These people sit over there. I go, where do the people want to pray? I go, where do they sit? I go, they have a specific place? You can't make this up. Yeah. So what's the whole purpose of being in synagogue? Is to learn and to pray. Right? Synagogue has decorum. Right? There's things, obviously you're allowed to do, things you're not allowed to do. But guess what? If you don't have proper decorum, many say the Enlightenment and World War II did not affect the Sephardic community. Right? Did not affect Morocco, Tunisia, all these other places. Even though Hitler's going to try and destroy Yamach Shemov Zichron, may then be blotted out, may rot wherever he is, was going to try and destroy all these places. Never gone to. He never gone to. Right? So Sephardic communities did not assimilate during the time of the Enlightenment, and they were not affected by World War II. So a lot of people ask the question, what happened? How did they get saved? How did they get saved from these things? Right? So many say because the reverence which they held synagogues, where, they came to synagogue, they prayed, they learned, they didn't speak words that they shouldn't speak in a synagogue, they do other things you shouldn't do in a synagogue. For that, they were spared. Kavod Beit HaKnesset, honor of the synagogue. You're going to say, shouldn't everybody have honor for synagogues in study halls? Sure. No one's saying you shouldn't. But they were so exemplary, of how they treated with respect. Right? You go to some places, there are people learning, very good. Right? Might be a lot of people learning there. And there might be people, okay, they should be learning, but they're schmoozing. They're talking about things of no relevance in the synagogue. You're all caught up in it in the war and that. Okay, very good. And you're there to learn. That's what you're supposed to do. Or you're doing other things you shouldn't be doing in the synagogue. Reverence for synagogue, there is decorum, there are laws, right? There are halachas that govern this, that absolutely govern this. And what you're supposed, and how you're supposed to act. And if a person, God forbids, is speaking words that are not fitting for a synagogue, i.e., okay, you're speaking about the war. What does that have to do? What does that have to do with what I'm learning? You want to make a reference, this, that, maybe. But if it has nothing relevant to what I'm learning, this is a serious transgression. Serious transgression. You learn it in a place where you have Sifrei Torah, you have Torah scrolls that are covered, right? They're in an ark, right? They're in an ark, very good. They're taken out when they're supposed to be taken out, right? During the week to be read and all that. but they're right in front of you. How could you be speaking about this, that, and the other thing? That's no relevance. Not only that, it brings down the holiness of the whole place. Right? I'll give you another example. Mishna Pirke Avos says later, we'll get there when I'm about 97. And the Mishna Pirke Avos says like this. It says two people, if someone's learning, right? A bunch of people learning, and one person says, oh, look at God's creation. Unbelievable. Look at that sunset. You're in the middle of learning. What does the Mishnah say? Mishnah says, whoever said that's liable for death penalty. We are going to discuss this in depth, right? I'm going to throw out one idea. Death penalty? You're praising God's creation. It's a beautiful sunset, beautiful whatever, right? Something you're praising God for his creation. I can understand. You want to say, well, you're in the middle of learning. You really shouldn't be praising God's creation at that point. Even though, let's say, it's such a crazy situation here. We got rain last week, right? Last week in Israel, we got rain. So there was thunder. So the mitzvah to make a blessing when you hear thunder, right? It's got to be accompanied by, can't be just, what do you call it? You make a blessing on thunder, you make a blessing on lightning, right? But hot lightning, let's say in the summer with no thunder or rain, you don't make a blessing on, right? So all of a sudden, a bunch of people stood up, made the blessing. So I asked somebody, I heard this huge boom. So, depending where you are, here in Israel, that boom could have been, God forbid, a rocket falling, 20 minutes away. Could have been a sonic boom, also. This is a pretty loud boom, right? So I asked, I also heard it, but I wasn't sure where it came from. So I asked someone, said, no, that was thunder. I said, you sure? I said, yeah, everyone stood up, made the blessing. Okay. So you're in the middle of learning. You now have an obligation to make a blessing, right? You heard thunder, or you saw light. Very good. Why is that not the same thing? Because that's the mitzvah. I have to make the blessing now, right? I'm not making a blessing when I say, wow, what a beautiful sunset. I'm not making a blessing, right? I'm not making a blessing on that, right? So the Mishna Pirke Avos says later, two people sitting learning, a person says, wow, what a great sunset. What a beautiful tree. Liable for death penalty. Death penalty? That's a little bit severe. Why liable for death penalty? What's the simple answer? Simple answer is fine. You're praising God's creation. Okay. But you're in the middle of learning something. You're learning God's law, right? Let's say you're learning Chumash, you're learning Halacha, whatever. You're learning Jewish law. Whatever you're learning, that's your focus. It's not about God's creation. It's not about looking at, oh, wow, what a beautiful sun, what a beautiful sunset. You're supposed to be focused on what you're supposed to be focused on. You're not looking at sunsets. It's beautiful, okay. But is that the focus of what I'm doing right now? No. The focus of what I'm doing right now is learning. Rava said this. Abaye said that. This one said something else. Okay, so how am I learning? What does it mean? What is it? What are the ramifications? How does it apply? Does it apply? Doesn't apply? Right? All kinds of things going on. And you're worried about how the sunset looks. That's the punishment. It's a severe punishment. Right? You're going to say, well, it's better you're not talking about the war. You're right. There are other things that don't matter. Right? 100%. You're praising God's creation at the wrong time. You're praising it when you shouldn't be praising it. There's always a place, right? There's always a place for this. No question. That is not the place, right? That is not the time, right? The time is a different time. But the concentration has to be on what I'm doing. Right? So if someone has to get up a lot, this and that, they have ADD or ADHD, right? They can't concentrate on what they're doing. I don't know. You'd have to ask, an ADD, expert how you try and overcome that, or concentrate in shorter amounts of time, right? That I don't have a good answer for. I would say though, as I mentioned before, I would say that if someone's, again, There are things that are easier to concentrate on. There are things that are harder, right? So I again, if someone was into something that's not good, let's say, like we mentioned before, even if they walk around a lot or they can't sit for a very long time, they're going to be glued to their chair. They don't want to miss it. Now, does that overcome everything? No. Person may need certain medication for that. Yeah. But if someone's really into what they're doing, they lose all track of time. There are people, sit there, read a book or something, they're so into it, a few hours go by, they're just like, wow. They can't even imagine because, they're so into what they're doing. So I would say, and again, this doesn't work if it's not going to help. But I'm saying if someone's really into what they're learning, and what they're doing, they're not going to get out. But this is a chemical thing. Or it could be in the, it's the mind also, right? But at the end of the day, people are really into what they do, and whatever it may be, they're not gonna, let's say a person, I don't know, they have a hobby. They like I don't know, carpentry is a hobby, but let's say they like to build things, construct things. Okay. If a person got ADHD, let's say, okay, I need this part, I need that part, I need, all kinds of things to put this thing together. So yeah, you got to be organized. You got to, you might have to write things down. Yeah, you might have to make things really, really clear. I need this, I need that, I need the other thing. Very good. Very good. Yeah, that'll help you. That'll help you. But if if this is what you like and this is what you enjoy, you're not going to be jumping all over the place. In general. Now, someone can say it's totally not true. It's not how ADHD works. Okay, right? You can take what I say with a grain of salt. I'm saying that, if someone's really into what they're doing, it should be less, I would say, should be less of an issue. Someone says, when I see such precise details in Torah, how the temple is built, certain Shem would have precise details about everything. Yeah, well, that is true, but keep in mind, the Torah is a law book. So if the Torah is a law book, the Torah is telling me, do this, do that, do the other thing. It's not giving me information. It's not telling me, you're right, by the tabernacle, we'll get a lot of details. By tzaras, right? People translate it as lepers. It's whatever. It's for speaking Lashon Hara, right? You got these things all over your body, right? For speaking Lashon Hara. So Torah speaks quite a bit about that in the book of Leviticus, and what to do and all kinds of, it doesn't apply today, right? Because we don't have a temple and can't bring sacrifices. But a certain place go into more detail about things. Certain, and many other things, no. Because the Torah only tells me 3 things about Shabbos that you're not allowed, that you're not allowed to do. Right? You're not allowed to cook, you're not allowed to carry, you're not allowed to kindle a fire. That's all the Torah says. Right? Well, you learn by the Makoshe, you're not allowed to pick up sticks either, muksa. Right? Another category. But in general, there are 3 categories. We know there are 39. So there are a lot of details. A lot of details missing. That you need oral law. I don't have oral law, I'm in trouble. Where would I know what to do? Where would I know how to keep it? I wouldn't. So you need oral law at the same time to explain what the Torah says. The Torah begs for that. Right? And that's what we hold, that Moshe Rabbeinu got 2 Torahs. He got the oral law, he got the written law. But imagine if you put the oral law with the written law together, it would have been 1,000 pages more. You would never get past Genesis. There's a lot. There's a lot in between. What's going on, right? And how I'm supposed to fathom it, what I'm supposed to do. There's a lot. There's no question, right? No question. Somebody asks, how can someone cast an ayin hara upon another person? Someone did it to Hagar. I don't know if they gave an ayin hara. But I would say, what is an ayin hara? Gemara says 99% of the people die because of ayin hara. 99%. Right? Now, Some will say, if I don't believe in it, it doesn't affect me. That's why a lot of people don't necessarily take ayin hara, what we call the evil eye. I should have said that before. The evil eye, they don't take it so seriously. Why? Because again, there's this opinion that holds if I'm not worried about it, it doesn't affect me. Now, why does the Gemara say? Why does the Gemara say 99% of people die from it? What does it do? What does ayin hara do? So basically, what an ayin hara is somebody inadvertently or advertently, it doesn't really matter, make somebody jealous. They make someone jealous, make them feel bad, and God opens the other person's file. Now, what does that mean? Let's say a person is adding onto their house. They're adding a lot onto their house, to their apartment, whatever it is, doing construction. Now, let's just say they're making it in a way to make people jealous, to show how much money they have or whatever. Let's say, right? We'll make it easy. Now, somebody else may not have money to build. They might not be able to build. They're in a place where they can't build, right? Let's say. So that person feels bad. That person really feels bad. Now, if this person did something, they're doing something extravagant. So that makes somebody jealous. You're going to tell me that person shouldn't be jealous? That person, who's somebody rich, the Mishna Pirke Avos says, who's somebody rich, someone who's sameach b'chalkoi, they're happy with what they have. They don't care what someone else has. They don't care what someone else has. They're happy with their lots. So you tell me this person should be jealous. You're right. I agree 100%. And person's jealous for whatever reason. Right? Comes along Mr. S, the Sultan, the evil inclination, the angel of death, whatever you want to call it. And now he comes in front of God and says, God, we got a problem here. So what's the problem? He says, Reuben over here is building this extravagant addition. He's building this extravagant addition. Okay. So it made Shimon over here jealous because he can't build or he doesn't have money. So God says, okay, let's see. Let's open Reuben's file here. Let's see what, let's see how guilty Reuben is. Or, maybe Shimon is just jealous. It's his own problem. It's not Reuben's fault. Right? Let's say. Now, I would tell you, the only time you ever want your file opened when God is going to judge you is only in Rosh Hashanah. It's the only time you want it open. Right? God's going to judge you. He's going to judge the whole world, Jews and non-Jews. Doesn't really matter. But that's the only time you want to get judged. You do not want God to judge you any other time, right? At that level. In other words, God's going to look into what you've done. There's one other thing a person can do that can open up a person's file, probably others as well. One that comes to the top of my mind is iyun tefillah. What does iyun tefillah mean? It means a person prays. It means a person prayed, what they say. Person prayed and said, God's going to answer my prayers because I prayed so well. Yeah. And then he's going to get his file opened also. Because Mr. S is going to say, oh, he prayed so well. Let me bring it in front of God. Let's see what God's going to say. And he's going to have the same thing. His file is going to be open. He said, I'm the greatest thing since sliced cheese. God's going to answer all my prayers because I prayed well. God, so in these cases, God is going to scrutinize the person's life. And it's going to look into them and see what they've done. Right? See how they're living their lives. Now, so let's get back to the original case. This person's building this, extravaganza, this additional, part of their property. Yeah. And they're doing to show off their money. That's not going to be good for them. That is not going to be good for them. So therefore, what happens? So therefore, God's going to look at it and say, you're right. Tells Mr. S 100%. Reuben caused jealousy. Shimon feels bad. I have to look out for Shimon. Right? It's God talking here. I have to look out for Shimon. Why do I have to look out for Shimon? Because Reuben made him feel bad. Now, does Shimon have a right to be upset? That's the question. Does Shimon have a right to be upset? God says in this case, we'll make it easy. Yes. Shimon got an absolute right to be mad. Right? Because for whatever reason, he can't build, whatever it is. God says, yeah. Reuben's in trouble here. Now, could this evil eye, that could damage him? 100%. He could get punished, and he could lose money, he could lose other things. But essentially, also, it could be so severe, depending where Reuben's holding and what he's done, he could lose his life. Now, an eye and horror can be fixed. There are people that know how to use lead, and how to get rid of the eye, get rid of this evil eye, and all that. So, if you believe it and it has an effect, you're going to be very careful. Rabbi's very, very into this. Told me this many years ago. That there are 12 signs, according to Kabbalah, according to Jewish mysticism. If someone has an evil eye, there are 12 signs. 12 signs according to Kabbalah. So I was mentioning to someone once. And someone, whatever, poo-pooed it, like, Kabbalah, this, that, whatever. So I said, or Ayin Hara didn't really, hold of Ayin Hara. Okay. If you don't believe in it, you don't believe it has an effect, it won't affect you, right? Shouldn't affect you. Yeah. So I said to this person, I said, by the way, there are 12 signs according to Kabbalah of an evil eye. I said, can you name me one of them? Just name me one. I mean, I know a few. I didn't know all 12. Right? But I did know a couple. I said, can you name me one? Just name me one. I don't care if you don't hold about it or not. It's irrelevant. A lot of people don't hold of it. Fine. Yeah? I said, can you name me one? Checkmate. You don't hold of it, you don't hold of it. Doesn't matter. You want to poo-poo it, and say, oh, what does he know about Kabbalah? What does he know about Ayin Hara? This, that. You're talking about the greatest rabbi generation today, according to everybody. I don't think there's any question, but okay. You want to say it's a fanatic in this, a fanatic in that. People can say what they want. Fine. Tell me one. That was my answer. Tell me one. If you can't tell me one, then scram. That was basically my answer. Right? So, Ayin Hara is something you do not want to mess with. Right? You do not want to mess with. Right? So, can someone, so the question was, as we're dealing with it here, how can someone cast an Ayin Hara upon someone else? They're jealous. Let's say a person has a lot of money. Let's say they have great kids. They have great, son-in-laws or daughter-in-laws or whatever. Could they be jealous? They could be jealous. Now, you didn't do anything wrong, per se. Just because, you have great kids or a great spouse and this and that, and everything seems to be going your way, that doesn't mean you're going to get punished, for sure. But I would tell you, even if a person had money, let's say, you better know how to use it. You better not buy things that are extravagant, because that's gonna draw people's ire, right? People could say, "Oh, he's got all this money. Why doesn't he give more to charity? Why doesn't he give to this? Why doesn't he give to that? Why does he buy such a fancy car?" It's a good point. It's a legitimate point, right? But if it's something where, even if someone comes and says, they're just jealous of who they are and their stature and what they've done. Now, God's going to judge that, and God's going to see, did this person do anything to rub it in anybody's face? Did the person always show humility, right? Did they have gaiva? Maybe it made them, it made them haughty, made them conceited, right? How do you get rid of being conceited is a whole nother big topic. Not necessarily going to get into, is to be humble, truly humble, to think you don't deserve anything, to think that you got to think everything comes from God. He's the one in control. All these things, very good, right? That's very good. So even if a person is successful in so many different ways, you got to be real careful. You offend somebody, you do something someone expected you to do more. Yeah. I used to help out a lot of people charity-wise, when I had a lot of money. And some people, can't make everybody happy. I mean, you can't give everything away. But, I guarantee, been on the other side also, so I guarantee. There are probably some people say, oh, could have given me more. Right? Why didn't you give me more? So, that could make somebody feel bad also. Now, let's say, in that case, you could have given more. If you had good reason not to, it should be held against you. You don't have a good reason why not, or a bad reason. Doesn't matter how many people you helped. That can be used against you. That 100% could be used against you. Now, someone here asks, how can someone cast an ayin hara? They're not doing it. They're not saying, I'm going to give this person ayin hara. That's not how it works. At least as far as I understand, how it works is a person did something, whatever that action is. They did something which caused someone to feel bad. Now, the question is, did it really make them, is it a legitimate thing? If they made them feel bad, is it something where it's a severe punishment? So that depends on what it is. Depends on what it is, depends how God looks at it. But we got to be careful in everything we do. Everything we do. And if anything gets called out and a person is, feels bad, God's getting involved. Right? Who does God protect? Who are the people God protects the most? Widows, orphans, converts. God himself, the Torah says, if anyone starts up with any of these people, God is going to fight against them himself. If you're fighting against man, it's one thing. You do not want to go up against God himself. You will lose. Right? Famous story with Titus, evil Titus. God was going to drown him. Right? So he opens his mouth and says, throw me on dry land. I'll fight you on dry land. So God says, you Russia, you evil person, the son of an evil person, fine. I'll let you live. I'll send you to dry land. He gets to dry land. What does God do? How does God do battle with this evil person? He sticks a yitush. What's a yitush? Like a fly, even smaller than a fly. He sticks his fly up his nose. All right, and Titus, for a long time, has got like this banging in his head. He's got like migraines and no idea where they're coming from. Yeah, he goes to a what do you call it? Blacksmith. Every time he bangs, it stops. So, the noise stops. So, he got a little bit of reprieve from that. And afterwards, whatever was inside his head, got used to it. So he started having migraines again. Whatever it was, when he died, they cut open his head. And they saw this bird inside his head. Teeth sharp as you can't imagine. And that was causing his problems. So the Gemara says, you evil person, you're going to fight against me? God says, you want to take me on? He said, I'm going to destroy you, in your body with the smallest insect. I'm going to stick the smallest insect inside you, and it's going to wreak havoc. You're going to fight me? You don't want to fight God straight on. Right? Anyone who starts up with widows, converts, and orphans, God's going to defend them himself. Not going to use anybody else. Not going to use any of his spiritual forces, any of his messengers, just like what he did in Egypt. God came, demolished Egypt himself. He took them out. Yeah, as the Haggadah says, as the Torah says. So, God has his ways. He has his ways over you. So if a person does something, again, you're not casting a spell here. That's not what it is. You've done something to make someone feel bad. Because they feel bad or they're jealous, what does God do? God opens up your file. Right? Mr. S is going to tell God what happened. He's going to open your file. And he's going to look and see. And if a person did what they shouldn't have done, right, they caused damage to someone in that sense, they're going to get severely punished. They could even lose their life. So you're going to say 99%, maybe it's an exaggeration, right? But a lot of times, see, comes to Yom Kippur, we always say, when we say, right? When we say that we've sinned in front of God, right? We beat our chest. I sinned in front of God doing this, doing that, doing the other thing. What are 90% of the things we're confessing on the holiest day of the year? Most things that came out of our mouth. Spoke Lashon Hara. We tattletale on other people. We never show proper respect for other people. A lot of things between man and man, especially things we said. So you got to be careful. Things that we say, people talk all the time. My language, they have diarrhea of the mouth. They talk. They say things that are just, more than horrific, right? Let's say, right? More than horrific in what goes on. So I would say that we got to be careful. Got to be careful what you say. What we say can have unbelievable ramifications. Unbelievable ramifications. A lot of people don't care. Right? They don't care. They'll just say what they say, no matter how idiotic it sounds. They'll say it. They'll say, I'm not afraid to say this. Yeah. But then when you hear it, you're like, you're an idiot. You're a total idiot. For saying it. Okay. I spoke about this on Thursday. My Q&A. All about, someone had asked, does freedom of speech go against the Torah? I said, if it does, yeah, it's forbidden. You can't just say what you want. You cannot just say what you want. If it's against Torah, it's against Torah. Many times, freedom of speech will be forbidden. Whether it's Lashon Hara, whether it's nipple peh, whether the person curses, other things. It will be forbidden. Right? So, over here, if somebody's jealous of somebody else, they cause jealousy. They don't say, I'm putting ayin hara on you. They cause jealousy. That's what ayin hara is. That is what this evil eye is. So how did Sarah do it to Hagar? I don't know if she did. Who says she put an ayin hara on her? She threw her out. And she had a right to. She had a right to. She's a prophetess. Abraham didn't think it was a good idea. Send Yishmael out. But God says, listen to Sarah. She knows better. And he was also a prophet. But he said she knows better in this case. Right. I don't know if they think it was, it was an ayin hara. I didn't see anyone who brought it down. Right. That's necessarily an ayin hara. But what does she say? What does the Torah say? Torah says that she says to Avram, God's judged between us. God's made her light in my eyes now because of what happened. Yeah. So what does Abraham say? Okay, do what you want with her. This is what you told me to do. I listened. Do what you want with her. That's not ayin hara per se. I mean, unless you have a source that says it was, so check it out. Was Hagar wicked? Right? Was Hagar wicked? Hagar, you could say after what happened and she got pregnant so easily, she got conceited. Says, look, my master's wife, she couldn't have kids. Look what happened to me. I got pregnant straight away. Yeah. So the Torah says when Avram marries her, her name is Keturah. right? From ketoris, pleasant smelling fragrance, right? Incense. That shows she repented. And Avram took her as a wife. Now, what would that tell me? Before that, she wasn't so righteous. But he listened to Sarah, and that's what he did. Now, the other question is, was Hagar wicked, and how Yishmael became so wicked? So let's understand. Person has a child. Person can have many children. Do all the children come out the way we want? Right? What's the answer? Probably not. Right? Probably not. Probably some come out somewhat the way we want. Maybe some come out exactly the way we want. Right? And probably some don't. So you see, though, there's some level of imperfection. You see with Avram, you see with Yitzchak. They both have children. You know, they say Yishmael repented. He repented at the end of his life. Right, which is the question someone asked, so what about his descendants? What's the connection? Just because Yishmael repented doesn't mean his descendants are righteous. His descendants, some could be righteous, some not. But see, he got, anyone knows anything about the Arabs, they're very hospitable. Extremely hospitable. Where'd they get that from? How did they learn to be so hospitable? They got it from where? They got it from Avram. Right? 100%. They got it from Avram. Right? It's no question. So, they're, and if you don't take their hospitality, they get offended. Anyone who's been by Arabs or in an Arab country. Extremely, extremely hospitable. So they got that aspect from Avram. No question. I mean, there are other things, okay. The Torah describes it. And that's why the Muslims say, not only we not chose them, but we made their great-great-great-great-grandfather look bad. What does the Torah say about Yishmael? Right? The Torah says Yishmael's a wild man, which they all are. And he says their hands in the hand of everybody. Everyone has a hand in them. They're basically ownerless to the world. That means their bodies have no meaning. They can just blow themselves up at, like no tomorrow. That's why it makes sense. Right? Because, again, ownership of the body doesn't mean anything. Life to them doesn't mean anything. But at the same time, they're also going to say we make them look bad because we say their hands in the hand of everyone. That's what the Torah says. It means they got two hands in your pocket. It also means, and this is proven true throughout the generations. I don't think there's anything to talk about. And that is they lie. That is part of their nature. Now, could there be Arabs out there that don't? Yeah, but the vast majority, it's part of their DNA. So I can understand. They might be upset. We make them look bad. Okay, that's part of their genetics. Can they fight it? Yes. Can some of them overcome it? Yes. Can as a whole group, as a whole, they're going to overcome it? No. Because once something is given, it's part of their DNA, they can't change it. In general. You see that what happened to Noah, right? Noah and Ham, right? He curses Ham. So all the progeny come out of Ham, right? They're all cursed. Right? And where did a lot of people from Ham go? Africa. Africa, anyone hasn't noticed, throughout the millennium, Africa's done nothing for the world. You're going to say it's colonization, look at what the English did, look what the French did, other people subjugated them, they were enslaved, all these things. Okay. Very true. So what do you see over the last century or more that's going on in that continent, the entire continent? War, famine. right? Pretty much in that order. Not, people say there are raw materials, there are other things. Very good. The whole place is a disaster. It's a disaster. So I would ask fundamental question. You look at history. How long would it take an entire continent or a lot of countries, in a continent to overcome that mentality? Now, you're right. They were enslaved. Gross national product is way down. They got a lot of work to do. Okay. In order to build up the countries. I get it. How long is it going to take? You're going to say they're colonized for hundreds of years. Okay. Give me a number. 50 years. 100 years. 200 years. Something realistic. Better education, better quality of living, like all these things. Is it really take that long? It could be. Maybe, someone tell me it take another 500 years, maybe. But you got all these crazy things going on. Wars and famine, and the whole place is unstable for the most part. But I would think over time, you get enough people there educating them properly. So 2 generations later, 3 generations later, 5 generations, proper education, proper raw materials, proper this, proper that. So this country should be okay. Eventually, tell me the weather's going to, cause everything. And how long can you have famine for? How long can the weather in one place be so bad? In general, you want to say global warming has affected Africa more than anyone else? Maybe. A lot of crazy theories out there. But I would think, okay, so let's say people got out of Africa. People went to America and went to other places. Were they successful? As a whole, no. As a group, no. Individuals, yes. Now, I would tell you, now I was history major in university, so you can take that with a grain of salt also, but I would tell you throughout history, no one's going to be down forever. Nobody. So you have to come up, so you can tell me colonization took its toll. Okay. You can take me weather took its toll. Okay. You can tell me it could take a long time for this to be fixed. Okay. But if they get out of it and they integrate to other places, why don't the majority of these people succeed? So you can bring me 100 different reasons. You can bring me, a lot of different reasons. And some of them may be very true. Okay. But you see, some people come out of it. Some people actually make something out of their lives. Now, people are going to say, this is the most racist thing anyone's ever said. Yeah, it could be. It could be. I'm going to ask a very fundamental question. Right? A very, very fundamental question. And that is, that since Africa's never done anything for the world, in general, what's the reason? Logically, you give me a lot of different reasons. Again, colonization, this, that, but why hasn't it come back? Why has it not come back in general? If I didn't, again, I'm not the one saying this. I heard Victor Miller say this. Other people say this much greater than me. What's the reason? What's the reason? If I wouldn't have this curse from Ham by Noah, I don't have a logical explanation. There's no logical explanation. You have people from all kinds of other countries, came to America and were successful in different ways. Communities, successful. They work hard, have this very strong work ethic, very good. Kids integrated, grandkids integrated, whatever. They're able to integrate. That group. One group seems not that way. You can bring me 150 reasons why. That's not even the point. That is not even the point. It's not logical. It is not logical. If I wouldn't have this curse, I wouldn't understand what it meant. I would not understand what it meant. Because logically speaking, most countries in Europe have had their day. England at one point had their day. Right? Portugal, for goodness sakes, had their day. Colonization of the world. Italy's had their day. Germany's had their day. Other places, I don't know about Australia, but whatever, most places have had their day. They've been prominent somewhere at some time in history. There's some level of prominence. This continent has had nothing. Nothing. Except death and famine. That's where it's at. Pretty much. A lot of raw materials. Okay. And people there have been exploited, yes. Again, I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying there's a reality here. The reality, it's illogical in many ways. So I have two things here. I have what's said about Yishmael, and that was really the point. I just got sidetracked by this curse on Ham. I have that, and I have this other curse. Right? I have this other curse. Now, when the Torah says this person and his offspring are going to be like this, that, and the other thing, that doesn't change. Individuals could change. People in general will not change. This thing will never change. That's the point. It'll never change. So this whole group of people, you can call it racist, you can say whatever you want, right? This is the reality on the ground. This is the reality. Yeah, and so I had a neighbor, built on top of me where, part of the apartment I'm living in, had to be rebuilt and all that. And, had Arabs working. Okay. I'm not going to tell you some of the things they did. It's kind of crazy what I had to live through. Okay. But one of the ones in charge kept saying, when are you doing this? When are you doing that? They're supposed to fix my thing before they did anything else. After the infrastructure was put, which they did. They told me this, told me that, told me that. They lied straight to my face. Many times. That's who they are. You're going to say, are there anyone? You're going to tell me everybody's like that? People here know. People have come in contact with people they know. What they say, you can't take them seriously. Yeah, we're going to do this in a week. Yeah, you wait months. So yeah, we're just getting to sing the next day, blah, blah, blah. The whole thing, every single statement was a lie. It was a lie. You're going to say, maybe it's only that person. This is who they are. That doesn't change. Yeah. Can an individual from this change it? Yes. 100%. Is the whole group going to change? No. That's part of what the Torah says. Like, Torah makes definitive statements, does not change it. Doesn't change. It is what it is. That's why people don't like it. They'll say this is totally racist. What you're saying, and what you said about the curse of Ham and all that, that's totally racist. Okay. Because they'll give me 150,000 reasons why what I said isn't true. They'll say, takes a long time to get over colonization. And that whole generation, they were slaves. Okay. I don't deny that. It's true. Well, the next generation that aren't slaves. How long does it take to build it up? That's my question. So I'm willing to be ultra reasonable. I'll give you 100 years. I'll give you 150 years. Maybe. I don't think it should take that long. With all the technology we have today, it should not take that long. You can tell me people steal the money and they abuse it. Okay, so that doesn't help them. And that perpetuates the problem. True. So now you're going to get those rogue elements out. And okay, this is all part of the problem. This is all part of the problem. This is the reality on the ground. I'm saying, for whatever my opinions were, I'm telling you it shouldn't be that long. I don't even think it should be 100 years. I think within 50 to 75 years, I think it's a long time. Things should start to turn. Even less time. If things are being used the right way. It's going to take time, I agree. It's not going to take 400 years. It's not going to take, it's kind of insane. I would think. Right? So Yishmael is at a disadvantage. They're at a certain disadvantage because of who they are. Now, does that mean they can't change? No. Doesn't mean they can't change. Is the entire group going to change? No. They're not going to change. But guess what? Who came out of Yishmael? Right? Who came out of Yishmael? So now you get this crazy person called Muhammad. Right? And he came up with his whole book. Right? Came out the whole book of Islam. Islam, one of the most ruthless, brutal religions in the world. There aren't moderates. Anyone tells you they're moderate, they're lying. They're lying according to what it says. According to what it says, you kill all the infidels. Anyone who doesn't believe like that, you murder them, you slaughter them. They deserve to be slaughtered. This is who they are. You're going to say, some it's more radicalized, less radicalized. This is what their book says. Clear. They make no bones about it. Clear as day. Clear as day. So now they're radicalizing all kinds of people, but that's what it says. It's not about turn the other cheek. Right? It's not about that. This is what they believe. And this has gone on for hundreds of years. Islam came way after Torah. 1,200 years at least after the Torah came. Right? It's a whole made up thing, but it's all about what? That. There's no positive about it. Just read it. They can spin it and say it's Webster's fifth definition. You can say whatever they want. Right? It's a ruthless book. Right? You don't believe in them. Not like the Christians say you're going to fry in hell forever. Right? That goes beyond. They're going to say you deserve to die and be slaughtered. That's what they say. Yeah. And they're tracing their lineage back up to Yishmael. So someone said, and I mentioned this a few weeks ago, someone said, yeah, but he repented. What does that say all about his offspring? His offspring, a bunch of wackos. Hate to say it, they're a bunch of wackos. Yeah. So, some are. And they're fighting amongst themselves also. Their whole goal is to take over the world. And anyone who doesn't believe in you, take it over. Kill them. You have the ability to kill them. They want to put up this whole thing with Sharia law and all that. But that's all based on their sources. Their sources, you don't have to even radicalize. Say, oh, it's only one fringe group. No, they're all a bunch of wackos that are calling for the destruction of anyone who doesn't believe like them. Destruction, not live and let live. They're done to Christians in different Muslim places. Kill them, slaughter them. Exactly what the Quran says. Right? So, oh, we make Yishmael look bad. Right? So there's an aspect, obviously, of Yishmael that is bad. Yeah, to a certain extent. But what does the offspring have done? What do we care if he's done tshuva or not? Look at his offspring. Look at his offspring. Yeah. So how did he become so wicked? He repented. In the end, he repented, Yishmael. Doesn't say so much, so many good things about his offspring. Because they're all tracing their lineage back to him. Yeah. However that works. I don't even know how that works because no one should be able to have any lineage. Because if Sancheir messed up all the nations and put them all together, right, and mixed them up like a cholent, like a bowl of salad, how can you trace your lineage back to anybody? How can they say we come from this one, we come from that? How do they know that? Right? It should all be messed up. But again, they're going to say we go back to him, and then Muhammad comes on the scene, blah, blah, blah. It's not a question of how did he become so evil? How can a person become evil in general? Let's ask that question. How does a person become evil? Because they go according to the evil inclination. God gave everyone the ability to choose good and bad. Gave everybody that ability. You want to choose bad? Your choice. Does God want you to choose bad? No. That's not what he wants. He wants you to choose good. That's what he wants. So, you want to follow a book that's false, and you want to call for the destruction of everybody who doesn't believe like you. It's your choice. You probably end up giving up your life in the process. Okay, it's your choice. But you want to ask me how can it become so wicked? How can anybody be wicked? They choose that path. You're not born that way. but they choose it. So you're going to say, but look at all these people totally brainwashed. Yeah, look at them. They're all brainwashed. A lot of people in Gaza would say, we don't want Hamas. Too bad. You're stuck with them. Yeah. But a lot of them have been indoctrinated. A lot of them. You can't get rid of that. Right? But their own books indoctrinate them. And anyone who grew up in Russia, you don't think they're indoctrinating communism? Of course. They're also brainwashed. Not to believe in God. Other people are less human, different things. Sure. So you say, how does anyone get out? How could they be so evil? Look what they've done. Look what they've done over the years. Stalin himself, Yamach Shemoy V'zichron. His name he brought out may rot wherever he is. How many tens of millions of people did he kill? Of his own people. Not talking about other people. Other people also. What did they say? 40 million people he killed? How could someone be that evil? People are not born evil. It's influences from others and how they take to it. And influence around them. Evil inclination works in many ways. Many, many ways. But you're going to say it's not his fault, he got brainwashed. Whose fault? What do you mean it's not his fault? Someone told me, look at all the Hindus. Whatever. In India, you're going to be wiped off the face of the map for idolatry. Yeah? Did we tell anyone to worship cows? Does that make sense logically? Look at all the Christians, don't know anything about Christianity, but they still believe in idolatry. So what are we supposed to do? Supposed to try and convince them to be Noahites? Not my job. That's not the job of the Jewish people. They come to me and they say, I want to learn about it. Very good. So mitzvah to help them, mitzvah to teach them. True. But you're asking a fundamental question. What makes someone evil? What do you mean? They have an evil inclination. And their evil inclination can take them in a lot of different ways. In a lot of bad ways. It says Ramchal Derech Hashem. It says in the way of God. Why did God create evil? It doesn't mean he is evil, because he gives people an opportunity to tap in or not. To want to be part of it or not. Why? Because it is, like anything else in this world, it's a test. It's an absolute test. You want to tap in, you can't. Doesn't mean God is evil. So why did he create evil? To have us overcome it. To have us not be part of it. To have us want to go in the right direction. Right? But aren't there a lot of ways in this world to go astray, to get distracted? Yes. Ramchal says that in Path of the Just as well. We live in a distracted world. True? Does that mean God wants us to be distracted? No. He wants you to hold on for dear life Torah mitzvahs. That's what he wants. That's what he wants. So we got to do the best of our ability. Doesn't mean it's going to be easy by any stretch. But I'm just flipping the script and saying, how can anyone be evil? They don't have Torah mitzvahs. They don't have an anchor. The Gemara says, God created evil inclination. He also created an antidote. What's the antidote? Torah. And need heavenly help to have you overcome it. Okay, so if you don't have Torah mitzvahs, doesn't mean you're necessarily going to be evil. But if you don't have a moral compass, what's keeping you on the straight path? What is keeping you from not killing other people, from not stealing from other people? You're going to say the punishment of going to jail. Maybe. Maybe. Someone will say, Uncle Sam takes too much. I'll declare what I want. That's stealing. Or someone will say, putting grandpa out of our own misery. That's not murder. That's euthanasia. That's mercy. But you want to ask me, how does someone go according to evil inclination? That's easy. Everyone's got an evil inclination. How can someone go so far? The evil inclination has no limits. Right? It can convince us to do almost anything. We can justify so many things. Right? I heard someone say, I was at a mourner's house. Someone said, our father suffered enough. So what do? They cut him off. They cut him off from his, what do you call it? From his pacemaker. And what happened when you cut someone off from the pacemaker? They die. So I asked the doctor, would they've died anyway? Yes. Instead of dying in 6-8 hours, they died in 2. That's murder. But the justifying tale, look, you were suffering. Who are you to play God here? Who are you to take life? That's taking life. That's murder. Right? Now, they might have the best intention. Okay. I'm willing to cut them some slack. Very good. They have the best intention. Okay. Does that mean that's good? It's misguided. But they're convinced they have an agenda. They have an agenda. Yeah. So it doesn't matter what people say. They don't have a moral compass. Their moral compass, like I've heard people say, it's in my heart. Right? It's in my heart. It's what my heart tells me. Who says your heart is right? We say in the Shema, Lo sasur acharei levavchem ve'acharei einechem. Do not go after your heart. Third paragraph of the Shema. Do not go after your heart. Do not go after your eyes. Don't go after what you see. Go after what you know. Work on the evil inclination. Right? Now, we can see someone suffering, okay? We don't like to see anyone suffer. But at the same time, it doesn't give you the right to cut them off. That's murder. Right? So, you got to ask me, how can it be so wicked? How can anyone be wicked? How can anyone be evil? What's the answer? Because they have an evil inclination. Just a question how far it takes the person. Is they ever going to act on and kill people? No. But if you're born and bred that way, and you have to listen to this garbage about this book that's totally false, and that you have to kill all the people, all the infidels that don't keep it, yeah. So that's going to get radicalized, and yeah, this is what you have. This is the end result. So the ayin hara we spoke about before. Someone asked, so jealousy can cause an ayin hara? Yes. Jealousy can cause an evil inclination. They got to be careful, right? Right? Someone here says, but I don't understand. Someone has to be unsatisfied with their portion so much. Not necessarily. Right? Someone has a nice house. You want a nice house. Right? Who doesn't want a nice house? But you're right. You're not happy with what you have. You feel you're lacking. Right? But someone's pushing your buttons now and saying that, yeah, you're lacking and I have more. Right? So we shouldn't lack. You're right. I definitely agree. We shouldn't lack. Someone who's rich is someone who knows what they have. Who knows God's given them what they need. They don't need other things. Right? Can I know I'd go to the 12 signs? No. Ayin hara, don't worry about it. You just work on doing what you need to do. Right? And in this case, you don't want to cause people, to be jealous. That's enough. Right? That's enough. A person, I'll tell you one. Right? Because my Rebbe's daughter told me this once. That a person can look at someone in a certain way and inflict an ayin hara. What do you mean looking at someone? So she told me he was at the Koso. He was at the Western Wall once. Someone looked at him. And shortly thereafter, he didn't feel well. Different things, whatever it was. So she told me. That's one of the signs. You can look at someone. You can inject it in them, so to speak. You look at someone who's, that's understandable. A person, let's say, driving down the street in a fancy car. And you take a look and, we know what that look looks like. It's like, oh, fancy car. And all of a sudden you start thinking things. Right? I think that's one of them. But yeah, I wouldn't be concerned about it. Can you learn about it? Again, I would say it's off limits. Don't worry about it. Poor Hagar. Not the woman usually wants a husband. Okay, but again, that wasn't the question. The question was, if she was so bad, but she repented. She repented. But look at what this child's caused to the world. And that's the whole question. Why the angels asked the question, Rashi brings down, why don't you kill him? Look what he's going to do to the Jewish people in the end of days and throughout the millennium. Look at all the problems his offspring are going to cause. So God says, very good. I got one question. Right now, is he guilty or not? He's a child. Child's not guilty, right? If he's not guilty, God says to the angels, can I kill him? No. Right? So the Torah says, Basher Husham, that's where he is now. You can't, We're not going to be judged on the future. We're going to be judged right now where we're holding, right? So that's a good thing. We're not going to be judged on future potential in general. So we're going to be judged where we're holding right now. Very good. Right? Very good. So everyone would say, if we knew Hitler Yamach Shemo V'Zichro as a baby, wouldn't everyone say kill him? If you knew the future, of course. Everyone would say murder him in 10 different ways. Cut him up like, like a tomato, right? No problem. What's the problem? He's not guilty. If he's not guilty, he can't do it. Same thing over here, even if you know what the future is going to bring. That you can't do. So someone says, can you say all Arabs and Muslims in general are enemies of the Jewish people? Yes. You find some that aren't, but in general, they're not just enemies of the Jews. They're enemies of everybody who doesn't think like them, who doesn't believe like them. I'm not telling people to read the Quran. I think it's a waste of time. You got time in the bathroom, you want to read it, good bathroom reading. Right? That's where it should stay, in the bathroom. But it's a book of hate. Tremendous book of hate. Judaism is the only religion, quote unquote, that says you don't have to be like us to have a portion of the world to come. If you keep the Noahide laws, you can have a portion of the world to come. No one say be like us or die. Christians say that. Muslims definitely say that. Right? So they're against anybody who doesn't think like them. They're against Christians and their atrocities. Unbelievable atrocities they've committed against Christians. They hate Christians with a passion. They're no lovers of Jews either. No question. Well, they hate Christians because of idolatry. Right? They hate Jews because they hate Jews. Right? In general, because we made Yishmael look bad. Okay, but they are enemies of anybody who doesn't think like them. Right? What do you think in England? Use England as an example. A number of years ago, they wanted to start teaching about homosexuality, different things in schools. They didn't, Jewish schools, they were threatening, bring it in, or they're going to shut down the schools because they get a lot of funding, I guess, right, from the government. They didn't go into Muslim schools and do that, right? Let's analyze. Very simple. Very simple. Why did they not go into Muslim schools? What's the answer? Because they would have flattened them like a pancake. They would have shut down the entire country. France, a number of years ago, different things happened. They shut down the country for 3 months. 3 months. There are places in France, places in England, whatever police will never step into. You do not want to mess with them in general. Yeah. So why didn't England do it? Why England went, Jewish schools tried to ram it down their throats to teach this, horrific behavior. Teach it in schools. They didn't do it to the Muslims. They knew better than to do it to the Muslims. But you know what the Muslims would have done? They would have burnt down the whole place. They wouldn't even thought twice about it. They would have burnt down the whole place. They would have started riots like no tomorrow. People know you're not starting up with them. Right? So they're enemies of everybody. Everybody does not think like that. Does not think like that. You see these people, quote unquote, civilized, great education, great backgrounds, this and that. They're rabid anti-Semites. And they're and they hate everybody doesn't think like that. That's the reality. Read their book. It's a very, very violent book. Anybody doesn't think like them, they're an infidel. That's what they are. That's what they represent. You want to say that's racist? Read the book. It's very interesting. It doesn't mention Jerusalem anywhere. But so many things they say down with the Jews. We're on a special list. Not to mention all kinds of inaccuracies and whatever. At the end of the day, well, read it. You don't have to take what I say, literally. I would tell you to read it. It's a very, very hateful book. Very hateful book. I don't care if there were 1,000 different versions. They all say the same thing. You don't believe like us, you deserve to die. And they don't care how you die. They don't want you to die in your sleep. They want you to be punished. They want you to suffer. That's what they want. That's what they believe. And that's why people make the mistake and they think, oh, it's only Hamas. You think the Arabs that live in other parts of Israel, in Eastern Jerusalem, you think they're any different? They ain't any different. They think the same thing. There's no such thing as a moderate here. This is what they believe, right? I'll give you an example. There are stories of people, driving different places. They use Waze and somehow, God forbid, end up in an Arab place, right? In an Arab city. There are people been lynched. What does that tell you? These are not Hamas operatives here. These are quote unquote, oh, these are nicer Palestinians, quote unquote. These are nicer Arabs. Yeah, you walk, see them all, I don't see them now because no one's allowed in, but you see them all over again on buses, different things, like they own the place. You walk into their place, you're as good as dead. You are as good as dead. And there are signs, there are big signs, no Jew should go in here. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? These are moderates? They're not moderates. They're no different than Hamas. They're no different. Make no mistake. None of them are good. None of them. You have individuals, maybe. I'll throw that out there. I'm a little bit in a generous mood. Maybe. The vast majority want to see every Jew dead. They want to see all the Jews out of Israel. They want to see all the Jews exterminated. That's what you see all over the world now. Yeah, that's what they believe. Yeah, it's coming out very graphic, very sad, scary. But this is 100% what they believe, nothing short. So where are the moderates? Where are the moderates? There aren't any moderates. This is what they're taught. 100% is what they're taught. Some places are worse. Some places, I can't even say it's better. This is what they're being taught. Yeah. They're going to be in the side of the world until the Messiah comes. And, Europe is a powder keg. Because you got all these countries have significant Muslim minorities. And they're multiplying like no tomorrow. Europe, no one's having any kids. 20, 50 years, they could take over. They could totally take over. It's mind-boggling. Yeah. Like I've always said, this one country doesn't have a problem with them. That's Japan. You know why they don't have a problem? Because they don't let them in. It's the only reason. They'd have a problem there also. So anyone who doesn't think like them, believe like them, they're out. They deserve to be slaughtered. That's a simple explanation. I'm not even reading into it. I'm not looking at Webster's 8th definition. This is exactly what they say. They make it very clear. They want beyond the shadow of a doubt, no Jews living in Israel. They made a partition plan in 1948. They didn't want any part of it. Why didn't they want any part of it? Why didn't the Arabs not want any part of it? Because they don't want Israel to exist. They don't want Jews to exist. That's what they hold. Right? And anyone doesn't think like that. And they also don't want to, they're born and bred this way. They're waiting to take over the world. Allah's going to come and help them take over the world. So everybody's in trouble. Yeah, but they have a special affinity, for Jews. But, you see all this in universities, different places. Yeah, free from Palestine to the sea, whatever statement is, that means there's no Jews here. That there's no Jews in the world. That's what they're calling for. You can say, wow, that's shocking. No, it's not. It's not shocking at all. Why not? Read their books. It's very clear. Very, very clear. Someone points out Poland also didn't win any. Okay. There are very few people that don't have this problem. They don't have this problem. Yeah, and you think people are going to say, Israel's going to have this mass genocide, so if they escape, where are they going to go? There's 22 Arab countries. You think anybody wants these people? I don't think anyone wants them. Right? I think Canada said we'll take them in. Yeah, good luck. Let Canada take them. Nobody wants them. Makes perfect sense why. Makes perfect sense why. But this is what they stand for. Let's keep in mind. This is what they stand for. Nobody's saying. Nobody's saying. Some are more radicalized, less radicalized. They're getting it from their own books. They're getting it from their own source. Yeah. So it is a mind-boggling idea in a certain way. Well, look what Yishmael was. And look what he finally did. And he finally repented. Very good. What did it say about his offspring? Offspring have been a disaster. Disaster. For the most part. Might have individuals, fine. But keep in mind, when the Torah says something, and the Torah makes, this person's going to be like this, and this group's going to be like that, it's forever. It doesn't change. Right? Keep that in mind. It never changes. This is who they are. You want to say it's racist, you want to say whatever you want. That's what the Torah says. And because that's what the Torah says, it doesn't change. And that's why you see for centuries and more, you see this has been the end result. It doesn't change because it doesn't make sense otherwise. Right? Why should Africa still be, worst continent in the world? Because it is. It hasn't changed. 400 or 500 years more, it's been a disaster. Absolute disaster. Right? So when the Torah says this person in this group is going to be like this, it means forever. Individuals can overcome it. Places themselves will never overcome it. Not according to nature, it will never happen. Right? It should never happen. If I wouldn't think there was a curse or other things going on, it's illogical. People try and put a spin onto it, this reason, that reason, the other reason. Okay, but it doesn't answer. It doesn't give you a full answer here. It gives you maybe even a quarter of a partial answer at best. At best. If I didn't have these other information, I wouldn't know. Wouldn't know. Yeah, any other questions? All right, I'm going to stop here. I do this every Saturday, 2 o'clock Eastern time. Usually 8 o'clock Israel time, but I did an hour early because states have not changed clocks. So starting tomorrow, my class on Book of Leviticus chapter 17. It's going to be regular time for, as it always is, 9 o'clock Eastern time, 4 o'clock Israel time. So anyone doesn't change the clocks, goes back to normal. Otherwise, anyone has any questions, find me on Facebook at Michael Chaim Kaufman. Beyond Orthodox conversion to Judaism, orthodoxconversion.com, or you can send me an email, rabbichaimkaufman@gmail.com, RBBICHAIMCOFFMAN @gmail.com, whichever good beginning of the day, middle of the day, or almost end of the day.